Hello everyone. Welcome to N3OMO at Home. This is a new YouTube channel that we created to tell you and show you what I like to do at home. One of the things I like to do is be involved with ham radio. So this channel will explain more about that and other things I like to do, including adult coloring and a new craft I'm into called diamond painting. I will explain that later on. I had to stop playing my saxophone, and so we wondered what I was going to do. That's when we decided to create a new channel. I hope you will find all this interesting and fun things. So here we are. Me, my husband, N3LKZ, and Max, our 17-year-old cat. And we would hope that you enjoy what you see and what we bring into the channel in the future. So now I'm going to turn it over to RJ, N3LKZ, so he can explain more about the ham radio side. See you next time.
Here's our HF setup. This is RJ, N3LKZ. You'll have to forgive the voice. You'd never believe I used to be a radio talk show host. But a little spot of cancer on my right vocal cord means I'm only working on 1.5 vocal cords. So I guess maybe, depending on your point of view, we're either lucky or unlucky that I'm able to talk at all. At any event, here's what we have in the heavy lifting or HF part of the radio setup. There are 2 radios here, and in the middle is what's commonly known as an antenna tuner. This guy on the left is an oldie but goodie. It's an ICOM 740, and he's pretty much relegated to doing digital radio stuff. If I can ever get him to talk correctly to the computers and the interface box. This guy here, the antenna tuner, is really not an antenna tuner. It does not tune an antenna. What it does is it essentially matches the impedance of the antenna to what the radio is happy with. Impedance is a combination of resistance and capacitance, none of which do we expect you to understand, but we do, and that's all that matters. Then this is the real heavy iron. This is an ICOM 7300. It's the latest edition, and let's see if, nope, it's tuning to the 20 meter band, and it's a radio for the ages. It'll do pretty much everything. Probably the last radio we'll ever buy. However, propagation is not so good, so it hasn't been able to strut its stuff for some time. But hope springs eternal, and we'll get back to it. So that's the setup here. All is nice big heavy iron, but that requires you to come and operate it. And there are some stranger things in the ham radio world that I'm going to explain to you now. This is a thing called an Amazon Fire. It's a tablet of sorts, but it does a lot more than that. You wouldn't believe that a little device like this can do a lot of the things that the heavy lifting devices I just talked about can do. But believe it or not, it can. And Elaine will be talking on the fire a little bit later and demonstrating all of the things it can do. So let's let it fire up, and we'll demonstrate some of the stuff that is possible on this device. Now, this may seem hard to believe, but here is the little Amazon Fire, and what it's doing is listening to the 20-meter band, and it's a person doing what's known as parks on the air, and he's accepting calls from other people to talk to him and say, "Oh, I hear you, and it's good that you're putting that park on the air." Here's what it kind of looks like. At the top is the frequency in megahertz, and that little round thing is the tuning dial, and the rest is a lot of bits and pieces. So that's another thing that we can do with a thing that doesn't look like a radio, but really is. Now there's another application, and we're going to get into that one a whole lot more, and we're probably going to have Elaine talk about it, but I'll give a bit of an introduction. Again, you're looking at the screen of the Fire, and if you look at the list of applications on there, we're going to focus in on one. It's called Echolink. And believe it or not, Echolink becomes a true ham radio, which requires a kind of a bunch of explanation how, but we've got an expert on tap that can do that. But here, let me let you look and see what it looks like. We'll activate it. Now we have to pick a node or a link or a conference, and it's sometimes picky. There's one. Do drop in. It wants to delete. We don't want to delete. We want to connect. And lo and behold, well, things are falling apart here, but what happened? What happened here? Ah, okay. Here we go. We're better organized. There is a network, a group of hams talking on a common frequency, probably in Spokane, Washington. But there we are. We can talk on that net. You can see right here, there's a little thing that says transmit. And when the frequency is open, you can press transmit, and a microphone will pop up on the screen, and you can talk, and you'll basically be talking all around the world. So that's about all I have for the heavyweight and the lightweight gear that we have here. I'm sure you'll enjoy more of what we have on this brand new channel. So since we're focused on Echolink, let's see what we can find out about it and about how people use it. I'm willing to bet you that we can find N3OMO, Elaine, looking to see if she can get a contact with Joan, KX2CW, on Echolink, and maybe between the two of them, they can tell us what Echolink is all about.
So we may have more of the videos in December. So anyway, Joan, before I send it back to you, you know I talked about ham radio and I used it net, but I have a question for you. I know how to operate a radio on a desk, but this Echolink on my Amazon Fire tablet has been baffled. I just can't figure things like that out. I know my signal goes to my tablet via the Wi-Fi to the internet, but where it goes from here is a mystery. I feel like an appliance operator. Perhaps you could explain how this stuff works in a timely manner so that I can understand it as a little kid. That's what I need, something like that, and how it's ham radio. Back to you, Joan. This is November 3, Oscar Mike Oscar.
Elaine, well, I'm glad you warned me ahead of time you're going to ask that question, and you might want an answer. And so I'll say, for the non-technical first, there's no shame in being an appliance operator. I do not judge my friends who are appliance operators. And folks out there, that means you buy stuff and you use it, just like any other, a lot of hobbies. And ham radio is interesting as a hobby because you can delve into it and be a real maker. It's a real maker hobby, building things, building kits or even designing them. The most advanced people design circuits for their ham radio and their antennas. And then, it's also a knowledge hobby, like a science hobby, like amateur astronomy. And just like amateur astronomy, you can just not know how to build a telescope. You can buy a telescope. Well, ham radio, you can buy a ham radio. Of course, it helps a lot for anyone who's interested in ham radio to know, just as with amateur astronomy, it's very easy to get make a bad decision about what telescope to buy. So it's better to know what's good and what's not before you commit to a purchase. But fortunately, ham radio is famous for our Elmers, our mentoring tradition, where often I've done it with my brothers and other friends. I've just given them a radio to get them started on VHF and on repeaters and stuff. But as far as your Echolink question, I'll try to give a kind of non-technical way of thinking of it. So obviously you're using an voice over internet protocol to talk over the internet. But what makes it radio? Well, it's that you're connected to a network of nodes that specifically are intended to connect to, for instance, repeaters. Now, it is possible, like other, voice over internet networks like Zello or Ventrilo, lots of different things that are, even Hamsphere, which is not ham radio, but it is kind of trying to emulate it. And you're not really talking on the air at all. You're talking person to person, just like a phone call over the internet. However, what makes Echolink and All-Star Link and things like that radio is they're protocols that are designed for you to connect specifically to amateur radio transmitters. So it's just as much ham radio as using a web SDR or something to connect to an HF radio to operate it remotely. So in a sense, Elaine, and your viewers or listeners, what you are doing right now is you are operating our radio station remotely from your location. When you are coming over the repeater, you are the remote operator of our repeater. It's that simple. So, is it radio, you may ask? Yes, it is, because you're not just talking to me here over the internet. You're connected to our repeater, and therefore, at this very moment, when you're talking to me, you are the remote operator of our ham radio transmitter here in Seattle. And that's why it's radio. Take care, Elaine. Thanks for the question. And feel free to ask questions on other weeks or whenever people who are knowledgeable are, nurturing new people into this hobby, for instance. It's a great learning hobby, and it's also, as you know, because we're doing it right now, a social hobby. That's the other pillar. What's the object goal of the technology? To communicate, and here we are doing it. 33 Elaine, and some treats to both you and RJ there in Zephyr Hills, Florida, and I hope your YouTube channel is going to be a hit, and I look forward to seeing the link appear in your QRZ page.
So there you have the first edition of N3OMO at home. I hope that you will keep checking us and seeing if you can find us again later on down the road, where we hope to have some more exciting things for you. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless.